Hello and welcome back to another video. We are now at Part1 in the Kruger National Park and we are heading to Crocodile Bridge for 5 nights. So join me on this adventure.
It's time for Africa.
As usually, we entered at open gate just before 7 in the morning. Less than a kilometer from the gate, we spotted our first lion, right at the turnoff to Marula and Tamboti. Still so close to open, we could see the gate. This was clearly an old male with some battle scars to show. Because we couldn't find the rest of the pride, and he clearly wasn't getting up soon, we decided to hit the road. Shortly after leaving the lion, maybe 5 or 10 kilometers down the road, we found a pack of wild dogs. This massive pack of more than 20 dogs were laying in the road and were in no rush to leave. It was fantastic spending some time with them and seeing how curious they were, and witnessing the special bond that these social creatures share. Predator sightings evaded us for a while, but there were still plenty of signs of predators in the area. We also stumbled onto a big herd of buffalo grazing next to the road, and eventually crossing the road, making the road impassable for a while. And we were lucky enough to have many elephant sightings, often seeing young calves as well. This was our first glimpse of one of my favorite birds, the batalier, eating what appears to be a snake. Luckily, there were still some batalier sightings to come. About 5 kilometers before Part1, we found a pride of lions. In this mega pride, I counted 17 lions, but it is very possible and highly likely there were even more. I suspect this massive pride to have in excess of 20 lions. What made the sighting even more special was the herd of elephants nearby, but they didn't seem to mind each other and stayed out of each other's way. In this video, I will identify some of the birds, but with some of them, especially the eagles, I am not 100% sure of their subspecies. The predator sightings kept on coming. Shortly after leaving Part1, we found another lioness, avoiding the heat of the day. After many more sightings of elephant, giraffe, kudu and many more animals, we had finally completed the drive from Auckland to Crocodile Bridge, along the following route.
It's been a long day, very hot setting up camp, but we're rested now and we are about to go on our afternoon game drive.
Our afternoon game drive was not very successful and sightings were few and far between. That is until we found these 3 lionesses right at the end of our drive. We stayed with him for as long as we could and as long as the gate times allowed us before heading back to camp, where a surprise awaited us. When it rains, it pours, and unfortunately we weren't quite ready for the rain.
Good morning. It is now our first morning in the park, our first full day in the park. Yesterday it rained a lot. Last night there was wind and even some hail. I don't think it rained hard enough for them to close the dirt roads, but we'll see and find out. So yeah, this is probably the risk of coming in December, but I'm still very much looking forward to my morning drive, and let's see what I'll find.
My morning drive was relatively quiet, except for a couple of eagle sightings, until I casually stumbled onto a leopard. I stopped a distance away, so I didn't scare him away. At first he just sat still, looking into the distance. But after a while he started walking towards me, straight down the road. As I stopped so far away, I had the perfect view of him approaching me for about 100 meters. Eventually he passed right in front of me before continuing to walk down the road. After a while he decided to leave the road, and I thought that I would lose him in the grass, until I saw him on a fallen down tree. It looked to me as if he was sharpening his claws on the bark. After a while he jumped off, and I thought surely this time I would lose him in the grass and my special sighting would come to an end. But I had managed to keep track of him and follow him until he had decided it was time to lay down and take a rest. When he lay down, he started licking and cleaning himself, and every now and again looked up into the distance before continuing. I spent more than 20 magical minutes with this leopard, and for the entire time I was the only person there, with no other vehicles in sight. This was very likely the best leopard sighting I had ever had, but all good things must come to an end. He decided to get up and disappeared into the riverbed below. After making brunch at one of my favorite sites, Nkulu, we were lucky enough to spot 2 more leopards. These 2 very hard to spot, with about 10 or 12 vehicles at the sighting. Here are the routes we drove on day 2. On my early morning drive, I drove north before turning east onto the S130 and then coming back. Later we drove north to Nkulu, taking the S82 dirt road on our way there and then coming straight back. And our afternoon drive, we drove north and took the S130, coming back with a minor detour on the dirt roads. On the 3rd day, my morning game drive was rewarded again. As usually, I left at 4:30 when the gates opened, and after a relatively slow start, I found a leopard. He was on the move, and I couldn't keep with him for as long as I did with the previous morning's leopard. I followed him until he disappeared into the thickets before continuing my drive. On my morning drive, I drove north for a while before turning west onto the H5 and coming back. On our long afternoon drive, it rained again and it rained a lot, making game viewing almost impossible. Firstly, we drove north to Chukwane, returning via the S114 and S25. This concludes part 1 of our travels to Crocodile Bridge in December 2023. In part 2, we find the pride of lions in the road. We have a special sighting of 2 cheetah cubs, and we have the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity of seeing a white lion cub. Thank you for watching until the end. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video.